Recording in progress.
Hey everybody, good evening, and thank you for coming to the Lower Southborough Township Communication Committee. I'd like to officially start the meeting, May 17th, 2023. Call to order. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes from April 2023 meeting. John did send them out. Thank you, John, for the minutes. As always, very accurate. We appreciate it. Is there any comments or changes or suggestions to the minutes? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Terry, thank you. A second. Thank you, Jess. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, thank you so much. Minutes are approved. At this point, brings us to our public discussion where we recognize any visitors, or we also, if anybody would like to have any comments, and I open that up if there are any comments anybody would like to share. Moving on to old business, we start with their business introduction letter. And as a reminder for anybody who might be watching this is a letter that we filed originally last year. We started to put it together. We fixed it recently. And with that, we hope to send that letter to a list of the businesses that we also found throughout Lower Southborough Township. And the idea is that hopefully they'll hang up our reference guide and people can walk in and say, oh, let's scan the QR code and find out a little more what's happening in Lower Southborough. I did share this letter with the board as well individually, and I talked to our manager, Joe Pikowski, as well. And again, he doesn't think it's a problem at all. We'll send a letter out. We have the funds. We are budgeted for that. So he doesn't think it will be a large amount. So I think we're all set for that. As for a drop date for the introduction letter to business, I figure on just double checking this week after today. We just tell everybody, as long as we have no other comments with it, that we are good to go, and hopefully we'll get them out by the end of the month. Any comments on that or questions?
That's good.
Fantastic. And I will follow up with everybody as we get them out. I'm excited about it. So thank you all for working with that. Which brings us to our next old business, which is our text alert and help desk services. So again, we did have some draft questions that we sent out. We all took a different township, and everybody's township was in Pennsylvania. We had one borough, just one borough. One thing I found actually, and I wanted to let the group know, and I actually did have a conversation with our manager today. We had a meeting this morning. He wasn't familiar with the texting services, and one thing that I'm learning, and through my conversation, we'll get to that too, is it's the one of the townships actually is still hoping more people will take advantage of it. It seems like a recent thing that's coming, but as we talked, and he thinks it's a good idea that we're looking into something as well, because a lot of millennials are buying houses now, and a lot more people where the main form of communication might not be as it used to be. So it offers another opportunity to go out there. But I did find that with the text.my.gov, there weren't as many Pennsylvania townships that it used. At least I could find through Googling. My guess is that there was a lot in New Jersey, so there might have been a salesperson to go through to market it, or maybe it caught on in certain places. I noticed a lot in the west part of the state, up in Erie County and all that as well. There's more. I found that interesting. With Notify Me, there was a lot more Notify seemed to be used. I also learned a little more about Notify Me. I think maybe we have a couple of these other reports too, but I just wanted to point out that I'm excited about this. I think the township is interested to hear how our results will go. And it's a new thing, and it's good to be on top of it. So the draft questions we did have that I'm just going to use yours here, Terry. Some of the questions were simply: is it difficult or easy to manage? How many hours a week does the service require from the staff? Whether they know the pricing and if they think it's worth the investment, and is support available? If so, a fee, and any other thing they would like to share about the service. So to start, Terry, since I have yours on top, would you like to start to read your report? We do have some copies.
Two or which? I just had one. The other one never got back to me yet. This is East Buffalo Township, and it's text.my.gov. Okay, difficult or easy to manage. First of all, the woman was very nice. I talked to her for quite a long time. She's very chatty. She took over for the person doing it before her. So it was difficult at first. And she said that probably the most complicated thing was they have to pick keywords that people will click on. It's almost like if you're doing anything, if you're like searching for something, it has to be multiple keywords. and she wasn't sure of all the keywords. So even now, like somebody will say, I can't find something, and she'll have to go in and use a different keyword for something. So she gave the example of if it's, for example, if people are looking for agenda for a meeting, the keyword may be agenda, the other keyword may be meeting. She said maybe even virtual, like would be a keyword. So she said that was a bit, she said sometimes it's finicky like that, but otherwise she loved it. And she said once she got used to doing it, then it became easier.
Okay.
Hours a week, she said she's very smart about it. She dedicates 2 hours a week to doing it, a set time. So she's not going in and out of it every time. So for example, if somebody says, oh, I couldn't find it under this word, she'll wait until her 2 hours that week to go in and then do it. So she's doing everything at once. So she said she's not in and out of it. She also suggested that she gets notified by phone when people are requesting things, that also the supervisor's phone be a backup. And it's kind of like that's proof that she responded or got notified.
Okay.
Pricing, she said, I think it's what we knew. It's a 5-year contract they had. It's $4,000 for the first year and $3,000 for each year for the next 4 years. She feels it was worth it. Interesting, she also talked about they have a Facebook page where they'll post things on the Facebook page, but she said she does not respond to it. She doesn't even like will like it because she doesn't want to engage.
Right.
What they will do is they'll put the township email on there. So if people have questions, they'll either go there or go to their website. Okay, which I thought was.
So it seems more like a bulletin board where
Exactly.
you can come and see it, but anything written underneath.
But it's not interactive. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Informative.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting. Yeah. Right.
Let them do
Yeah. She said support is available, and at this point, they're checking up on them every 3 months. If they don't contact them about something, the company will contact the township and say, how are things going, and there's no fee for that. Okay. She likes the service as a means of communication. She said they're a small township, but she just disliked the feature about it, setting up the keywords at first.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jerry. Now, one more thing I wanted to add just real quick with this as well. I started to say at the beginning, but I don't think I finished. When choosing townships, I tried to choose, originally when I reached out to our first township, I picked someone that was closer to a fiscal, closer to, funds closer as well to our population. I did do a little variation here. I didn't want to pick anybody with too much population, bigger than ours, because I figured it might be busier as well.
Right.
But I was also curious to hear how some of the smaller communities would deal with it, especially in regards to pricing and with their staff and the smaller staff. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I think we should probably stick with the text mic up, and then before we go into the notify me. And again, just one more, we all know what text mic up is, but anybody who wants to hopefully watch this meeting and is curious, it's a service that integrates sort of an AI as well. You can, for example, I tried one today using it was township, and I just wrote in there, I need a shed permit. And with the keywords, as Terry indicated, it tries to find them. Now, it didn't find it right away. It said, sounds like you're looking for a permit. What kind of permit would you be looking for? And there are a couple categories, but it got there within 2 texts. So that's what this service would be. Anybody want to go next? Jean or John?
Sorry, I've got my sheet
Okay.
right in front of me this is for the text my gov. I contacted the administrative director of Manchester Township in the Pennsylvania area, Danelle Goodwin. She said the town has been using it for almost 2 years and not previously had any type of text service. Super easy to use and considered it, and this is her term, idiot proof. Initial setup was free, annual cost of $5,000. There have been no other charges or fees. She regards the cost as a little bit expensive and recommends negotiation on the pricing. The cost is what she likes the least about it. Approximately 1 hour virtual training was provided, which she felt was adequate to get a handle on things. It is a one-way communication channel to provide notification from the township to the residents. She described the customer service as fabulous. They've not had any kind of technical issues, and they found that they've been very responsive to her questions, those other people that utilize it in the township. Only takes about 30 seconds to send messages. They can be sent as general notifications or be targeted to groups. For example, parents can sign up for summer playground notifications. TextMyGov can be utilized by multiple users and departments within the township administrative structure, and there's no extra fee based on number of users.
Okay.
TextMyGov provides informational literature and pamphlets for distribution to the public by the township so that they, as part of the educational process of familiarizing people with the TextMyGov application. So that was it with Manchester Township.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jim. John, would you like to, do you have any reports or any luck?
No, I don't have anything.
No worries, no worries. I'm gonna go to with my contact with TextMyGov. I went to Tuckanuck. I said it earlier. Tuckanuck, thank you. Tuckanuck Township.
I've been up there, so I know
Okay.
that.
And I spoke to Tina Kernan, who was the secretary treasurer, but was in charge and oversaw the TextMyGov. From a staff perspective, I asked her, she found it easy to manage and was very easy to manage. So they use it mainly for getting out messages and road closures. She hasn't yet taken the time to go through how to set up the AI program for now, and they simply use it for texting. So they only use it as a texting service as opposed to what we talked about earlier, which I didn't realize was an option too. How many hours a week does the service require from the staff? She said if there's a meeting, she can set it up anytime. What she likes to do is Monday morning, she sets it up to schedule the reminders to go out. I think they said Tuesday is when she usually sets the reminders to go out. It takes no longer than the time it takes to type if there's a meeting at X PM at XYZ building. The pricing, she said $6,000 for the setup and a year. This is new to them, so this was their first year as well. Not that much every year to review. She thinks it's a good price for now. They get 50,000 texts and they aren't even close to using that.
That's their limit.
That was their
At
limit.
that price.
Right, so you can set, and that's what I think we talked a little bit earlier about how they use it for just texting. She said it does have the AI capability, but they didn't really get into all that yet. She just didn't go through the process of setting it up yet. They were satisfied immediately with just the little bit that they had. Is support available? As you said, she says yes, it's included and very helpful. What she likes or dislikes the most about the service, she had nothing more to add. She thinks it's a great idea, but wishes that more people would take advantage of it as it is a good service and easy to operate. Then we did talk for a little bit as well about attendance that she has at their meetings, and their biggest concern is, or not concern, but their biggest issue that they have is how do we get more people to utilize it. So I mentioned our survey, and we had a good conversation as well. So, but that's the report I have for the TextMyGov as well.
It's interesting, it's like the price increase.
It may have, and I think it's as I said, if someone said you could bargain for it, I don't know exactly how that will work. I know from my experience here that we've had, people would come in and say, here's a service we can offer you, kind of thing. So I guess it varies. I know they would sell that. Any comments or questions on the TextMyGov?
Pretty much anything I've got was favorable.
I did.
Me too, so I'm actually impressed.
Very good, very good. Actually, I might notepad here so I can take my notes. Excuse me. And just for the record, we have a sewer meeting going on tonight as well. We had a schedule change with election day this week, so that's why we were in a side room here. People on camera see what happened there, but we're getting a little organized there. I think TextMyGov, what we could do then as well, and we talked about this as well, we can lay out maybe some of the features and maybe discuss how, should we go over Notify Me first, and what does the group think? We could go over Notify Me results, or we could talk about how we would like to structureize and what we should highlight with TextMyGov. Anybody have a preference?
Let's stick with one so we don't get confused.
Very good, very good. I like that avenue. All right. So what we want to do is present to the board and the township an option that we can use here. I encountered the same thing. It sounds like the TextMyGov is a good service if that's what we're looking to do there. So I think we can put a quick summary, maybe perhaps if anybody else has another idea too, but one way we could do this is we could give it a quick summary. I think from a staff perspective, should we copy all three of our results, do you think?
I think our reports are relatively brief.
I think
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking as I'm looking at it.
Every
It's-
summary.
Yeah, I say we hand it in. I think as a group perspective, maybe we could just write down a few things. Exactly.
Right.
So I agree with that. We can pass this on to the board as part of our report. So anybody have any highlights that they would like to share, something in general that maybe we could add to it as consensus.
Well, do you want to go through the comparison chart? I can highlight like one or two, looking at this.
Yes, no, that's what I was looking at as well, our comparison chart, we could do that as well. So the key resident services provided would be texting, I suppose, to provide text messages to those who sign up. One thing that we also talked about with Tina, she mentioned the same thing I believe you said, Tina, was how, maybe it's Terry, how they had the included website. There's something that if you looked at any of the townships that use TextMyGov, there's a little floating thing that says click here to learn about TextMyGov.
Mhm.
Now, the one with my township, which was a little different, it was a smaller one. So if you did it, was probably about a square size and it had all the information with the AI. Mine was just TextMyGov to receive reports, which is what lured me to that one. And as I found out that they were only using it for texting services, but she did say that it was very easy. They don't have to explain it to anybody because it's all right on the website. So I think key services is means for residents to sign up into a texting option.
Yes. To text alerts,
Very good.
inquiries.
Yeah, it's
It's-
the one.
It sounds like it's not so much inquiry, right? It sounds like
Text.
it's more text alert, text messages rather than text inquiry, correct?
It would be text alerts if you opted just for the text alerts option, but there's also the option that people could use the AI inquiry. So maybe inquiry might not be the right word. I think you're right there, John, but maybe it's a texting alert with the option of an AI platform or an AI service. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, like interactive.
Interactive.
Okay.
Means of residents to sign on for text alerts. And AI assistance maybe, or
Yeah.
AI assistance work,
Yeah.
AI texting assistance.
AI is getting to be a very almost overused term. And are you sure it's AI driven? Is it an AI technology? Are we sure about that? Or are you just using AI as a generic term?
I have one of the original letters, but I think it is I think it might say AI on the actual.
Okay. Okay.
Do you have another suggestion there or as well? So we can, I'm open to any other suggestions, how we want to word this.
If it's AI, then I think it's appropriate, right? If it's not actually AI technology, then I think the interactive texting may be a better term.
I'd be surprised if it's the artificial intelligence as opposed to this term interactive.
So here's and I know we did this in the beginning, I keep all the things. This is one of the first things when we heard of TextMyGov, I found this is sure where this would be. However, this was a township's, this is a breakdown of the cost. This TextMyGov package includes TextMyGov web-based software, local phone number, short code number for outgoing messages, unlimited users, unlimited departments, unlimited support for every user, 10 gigabyte managed online data storage, and 25,000 text messages per year. So yeah, I don't see AI in here. Good point, Sean. Let's reword that. Web-based software. So web-based assistance, or I'm not sure of any
Or
word here.
text-based assistance or interactive text messaging.
I like that.
Text-based responsive, something like that.
I like that too. So White House Department means of reasons to sign on for text alerts and say yours one more time as well, team. So we had an interactive. We have good results when we do this.
Yeah.
For text alerts and interactive text responses, or is that okay? Interactive texting. I know there's another
Just
suggestion.
interactive text messaging. uh, Gets long, but it would be interactive text messaging with the township staff, but that's too long, right? I mean, it's gotta be a better
It's
way to
not
phrase
really-
it.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily with the staff, which is the cell, you know.
That's true. That's true, right? So
We can, well, let's go back to that interactive, that first part, maybe as we go through the rest, we can figure out what we want to implement. So key product features. Say, and again, do we want to just? maybe
easy to
just
use.
Yeah, just copy this, what its features
Yeah,
are. I mean, that's what I read earlier. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
And it sounds like packages may vary as well. Vendor support levels, I think we could say is excellent. Just.
Yeah.
That's what the consensus was, great
Yeah.
support. Interactive features, now we're back to texting somebody. Texting the computer. But yeah, texting alerts. And alerts aren't so much interactive, but and also receive information via
Sign up.
via keyword, perhaps via keyword.
How they describe it, smart texting technology identifies keywords and text messages to provide immediate assistance.
I like that. Thank you. Yes, one more time.
Smart texting technology identifies keywords in text messages to provide immediate assistance.
Thank you. I'm good with that as our, to add to the means of reasons to sign on for Texas or text assistance, and then go right to that, as well as its key features there. Pricing. Pricing seems to vary, but I think the highest we heard, and this pricing on this package, they got the deal. They had 3,000. The implementation setup fee was 1,500. So total the first year is 4,500, and their annual is 3,000. So it does seem to be in that 5,000,
Yeah.
3,000 to 6,000, since we had that
I
highest. one.
wonder if, like, when they got it, like, if the price keeps going up, you know what I mean?
That could be. This one was, this agreement pricing were provided at the customer's request on November 1st, 2022. So still, yeah, still rather recently.
Yeah.
And I think I had a copy of the minutes. Shelby County reporter in Alabama doesn't have a copy of the minutes that explained it as well there. So I would say pricing that we've seen, the cheapest one, what do we have? I know mine was,
I had 5,000.
mine was
And the other was
4,000
afterwards.
Afterwards. yeah.
afterwards. So I think it's safe to say, so
Yeah.
4 to 6,000
Initially.
initial.
Mhm.
And then this fee ongoing seems to be about 3,000.
And the woman I talked to, they have a 5-year contract.
Estimated impact on staff,
Like very little.
very minimal.
Yep.
That's like,
It's like anything else, you get used to it. It's just a
Right, and
beginning
we
of
get
routine, you know, at a
into
certain
it.
time, certain day of the week. Yeah.
And
I
that's
think we're better off putting some kind of number on it though, even if it's, 1 to 2 hours a day or 5 hours a week but I think we should put some kind of number there.
Good point there, John. Thank you. And Terry was saying that you said 2 hours is what they said. For mine, again, she said hours a week. She said for her, it's just no longer than what it takes to type up something. So, but then again, she's only keeping it for the
Right,
notifications.
right.
So I think it's fair to say no more than 2 hours a week that we
So
experience.
I think
Okay.
that would be the consensus.
John, that work for you too?
And the good thing is, because like you said, you could do meetings ahead of time. And say, oh, I wanted to show up on Wednesday, she's doing it on Monday, I wanted to show up on Wednesday. You said that's Wednesday.
That-
She can-
That was a highlight. She says, well, she
Yeah.
says Monday, when she gets a moment, just
Right.
puts it up knowing that it'll go out
Right.
Tuesday. So,
Right, and she, so she can schedule it.
and last is the value. Is the service application worth the cost according to the people we spoke with? And we did have one that said it was too expensive, they thought as well.
I find
So-
it interesting though, that like if they're only using the text alert, they're paying just as much as somebody who's not.
And I think it was a newer system and it might, as she said, she didn't get around to all
Yeah.
the intricacies of it. So, and I actually have more on that, the next one as well, where somebody said it took a little bit to see what the capabilities really were,
Right.
but it was, and he says it wasn't aimless fault entirely, it was just, hey, oh, look, we can do this too, and they realized this.
Right.
So I think that might have been the case in this,
Yeah.
that wasn't clarified though. But I thought so too, because if that is another option to do, it would just, I would assume, lower the cost.
That's right.
And I would think, this is just speculating, but I would assume just from what we've looked at in different minutes and all that, somebody would come in and give a consolation price and presentation
Right.
of the product as well.
Yeah, what feedback I got, that there's no charge for that
Yes. that would-
consultation. Right.
And I figured just to save time, it's better that we give a presentation. We say, hey, is it worth our time? So I guess the answer to that then is the value service. From what I encountered, yes, she thought it was great. It was a great, it thinks it's a good price and they're not even close to the text that they have. So I think we can say that it's a fair price, because I don't want to say it's a
Yeah.
great price since we had
Right.
somebody have some
Right.
concerns, but any other suggestions, or are we good with fair?
That's good.
Well, are you judging the price or the value? So
Good question.
the price, the pricing, I agree, I would, would be fair. The value, are they, based on the comments, do you qualify that? Do you say, yes, they are getting good value, but after 1 year, after some level of experience, was there a little bit of a caveat in terms of value because of a learning curve? Or is it just, yes, they think they're getting good value for their money?
I like those points, John, and thank you for explaining that as well. I think, personally, I think that for mine, she felt that she was getting a good value. Again, maybe that could change. That's something that, comes as well. Any other feedback on this?
So I think if people are using it, it's good value. I know that when I spoke to, people are using it.
That's a good point, because here she says she wishes more would use it
Right.
to value. What about you, Jean?
I made note of the fact that they provided free informational materials for distribution.
That's true. That's true. So I would say it's a good value. I think would be a good rating from the consensus that I have. I'd be open to putting that. Do you think that's fair too, John?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Price fair, value good.
And I think the fact that they check up on you.
I like that too,
Yeah.
because if you do get busy, they want to make sure that it's still working. So they're
Right.
not gonna, it's a win-win. They don't want somebody to come back when Lower Southbridge's looking at the idea and saying, oh, but you fell behind here. They want to make sure they're on top of that. That is a good incentive. And I think it's important to know that they will have these to look at as well. So, we're going to conclude this in the report. But we will have a breakdown right here, which I think is fantastic. Okay. Well done on that. Thank you for that. I think we can move on to notify me, but before we do, I just want to, anything else anybody feel we should add or maybe take away, or anything else in regards to text my gov?
Can you read the key resident services provided again? Because I got lost in
Sure.
all our back and forth.
I just put Q6, that I coded them. So the key resident services.
Q6.
Means of reasons to sign on for the text assistance, and then I quoted yours, and I'm literally going to get that from you at the end of the night. I started to write what yours says, what I was going to
Okay,
put
was
there.
that was under the first thing, or under the product features?
Mhm. I wrote most of it down with yours, and then I realized I'll just copy
Okay.
that at the end of the meeting. Or watch it.
I'll leave this up, yeah, you could
Perfect.
have mine.
Yes, I have your copy. No worries. It's recorded.
Okay, yeah,
Oh, right there.
yeah,
Yeah.
smart, okay, so the smart texting, isn't that the features? I'm asking about the first one, key resident services provided.
Oh, yes, we went back up to there. So I was going to put to sign, it allows means for residents to sign on for texting, text alerts. And also then I was going into your receive info by the keywords and yours, what that was. If you want to read that out loud, one more time. I was just going to take that and put that up.
Do you want to do it?
I'll look at it at the end of the meeting if that's okay. That's not figured quicker. Thank you. Any other questions on that? Be good to move on to notify me. I think that's an interesting option as well. And notify me is completely different, which is very different. All right, so notify me, and have our original sample of notify me that we had too, since I had that out, just for anybody who wants to know what this is. Notify me allows on the websites that we went to, the township websites that we went to, I don't think you'll be able to see this, but it allows an option to choose a method for notifications via cell phone or via text alert or email. And you can literally go down for an abundance amount of things, which I'm sure we'll learn on reports, but the one that we found for the first sample is you can get notified Parks and Recs meeting. Maybe you want to know agenda center for just the board of supervisors, just their minutes, maybe Parks and Recs, the planning commission. You just want something on a road closure. You want to know what items will be for sale. You might want to know when there's an opening to work in the township as well. So plethora of different options that somebody can choose and pick and choose. Maybe they want an email for one, maybe they want a text for the other. So with that, we did contact some notify me, and I did the same thing. I made sure I took some townships that seemed larger, smaller, and wanted to get a little mix of that to kind of see what the results were. So with that, do we want to share any reports for the notified? Anybody want to start us off? Dean? you want to
Yeah, I'll
start us
tell
off?
you that. Great. It looks as though the notify me, this is kind of a question on my part before I start, that we could not get just notify me. We have to get Civic Plus,
Yes,
inclusive of notify me, which is different from these others. And I think it's an important distinction.
absolutely.
You're buying a larger package, which parts of which may or may not be useful to you.
Mhm.
So just wanted to point that out.
So yes, and just to talk about that first, because I did encounter this as well, just so we are specific that. Notify me and correct me if you heard differently or want to add to this. It's part of the website company that operates the township, which was called Civic Plus.
Right.
The gentleman I spoke to, and I'll get to that as well, wasn't sure if we could have that as a separate package, and also explain some other services that they have too. But Notify Me is a part of a service, which is part of Civic Plus, which is which designs to helps assist with the website, which we'll get into
Right.
more.
Right.
That is important to say as well,
Okay.
which is good to know.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Okay. I spoke to Gwen Jonick, who was the township secretary of Upper Euclid Township in Chester Springs. The township's website is hosted by a program called Civic Plus, which incorporates Notify Me as a feature. The entire Civic Plus program has an annual fee of almost $7,000 a year, which covers services and support. She did not know if a setup fee was paid at the start of the program, which has been in use for about 7 years. Prior to that time, the township did not have a notification program other than countywide emergency notification system similar to Ready Montco, which we have in Montgomery County. Residents of the township sign up to receive notifications and are able to choose from a menu of notification options with regard to topics as well as method of delivery such as email or text message. Johnny considers the program easy to use, posting of messages and updates typically requires only a few minutes at a time, averaging about 1 staff hour per week. Resident feedback has been positive.
Thank you. I can go next there as well. I spoke to the assistant manager from South Middleton Township, Jared Sweeney, about the texting service Notify Me. Again, as I explained, he explained to me that as part of their website company, Civic Plus. Included with it is Notify Me, which anyone can sign up for notifications via email, text, anything they post on the website. And there are other services you can do as well. From a staff perspective, do you find it easy, difficult, or easy to manage? He said easy. Individuals sign up for notifications, they receive it automatically via the website service. So there really is nothing else that he would have to do. The website kind of handles whether somebody clicks something, it distinguishes that, so he doesn't have to worry about that. How many hours a week does the service require from staff? He said 0. Again, the company is easy to work with. Anything that they would normally post to the website, it's just, he doesn't see any additional time spent to work with Notify Me. Do you know the pricing and is it worth the investment? The implementation cost is more substantial. It says we pay for the website hosting service, which is also unlimited storage. Then he looked it up, what their bill was, $9,000 a year for the website, as well as a virtual webmaster service, which is an additional service that is almost brand new to them as well. He did explain that he knows that's not the same price for both of them if you were to use one or the other. He says he thinks it's about an even split, but it might be a little more money for the Notify Me, which probably would get more into line with what Gene was saying. Again, this is $9,000 a year, so it could be $6,000 to $7,000. Again, he thinks it's a fair price. It handles most of the posts. He handles most of the posts that they put on the website, but if there's a bigger project, they have even more options. And that's when he said, if they're running around, they did give a program on how to use it, but kind of similar to what they said, it was difficult in the beginning. As they started using it, it became much easier to use. It's just a matter of getting more familiar with the service. But again, they have more options. Is support available and is there a fee? It's all included, online support and phone support. He's used both of them as well. What do you like or dislike the most about the service? He says that using the Civic Clerk, which is an agenda minute web managed system process, is still ongoing. So they have the other thing is called Civic Clerk. What that does is it makes an interactive thing for residents with an agenda, minutes. They're still learning that. So he says that process is a little new, and so they can find that it can be a little frustrating, but he says they're just learning it. The website was easier to transition. Once you begin using it, you get a better feel and understand what to do. And again, we talked for about 10 minutes about the benefits of it, throughout the conversation. We jumped a little bit around, but the one thing that he really emphasized was it was just a matter of getting used to the idea. He said he didn't want to, put down the Civic Clerk idea. This is something that, was newer to them. All around, he thinks is a great idea. He wasn't sure what the initial implementation fee was. He does know it's substantial. And that's the report I had from that. To add to this though, and I'm going to clean this up before, I did just kind of type it up as I was writing here and then I printed it. As you guys can see, I had some typos in here, so I'll make sure I clean it up before. But I do remember looking up a Notify Me originally, finding that it was a pretty substantial price in the beginning. I remember upwards, I think we found minutes, and I'm sure I can find them in here. Usually put this on the desk. We have a different desk tonight, sorry. But I do keep all the stuff here. Go ahead, Jim.
Is the reason for the substantial startup cost because we would need to transition the website also?
Yes, if we were to go this route, I have to change the website and set that up here.
Okay.
I did find this. That's what I got from that. I remembered this and make sure I have this. This was when we first looked up the idea of what Notify Me was and all, a resolution I found online and what I did originally is read different townships, boroughs minutes and, to see what their presentation is, to get a ballpark figure. For this one, this is a resolution of the Board of Trustees, Liberty Township in Ohio. So again, it's not in Pennsylvania, but I was able to find the pricing. This was $19,500 the first year, and then $4,000 each additional year. So that is a substantial price. Again, I'm guessing somebody would come in and explain, breakdown and whatnot. So this would be a bigger step, obviously, than notifying me, and it would be something whether we want to decide is this, we will present our reports in the same way. It's not our decision, but this would be another outlet, but this would be a complete revamp. And this is why and this is one thing I talked to Jared about. Link there, we were, how it works. He said it's phenomenal with all the options they have. He's continually looking down, and he said one thing they called and said, "Hey, we really like this. We want to have, maybe some more of this. Well, how's that work?" So actually, if you have that capability, let's help you do that. So he says it's more like, poking it, like what else can we do? But so far they find that there's a lot of different options that they have. So he's very satisfied with that. However, again, do we want to do that? That's something that the township would have to explore and weigh the prices.
Well,
So to,
Okay.
to have a fair, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
to have a fair comparison for this one, we need to know how much the township is spending on the current website, right? Because the current cost of supporting the current website would be replaced by this cost on an ongoing basis, correct?
Absolutely. I think,
So make the website plus constant contact.
yes. And this says, yes, because the constant contact that would be included in there too, or that might be separate. This would be something that we would, it's a great point, John, do that. I'm just going to say numbers that are ridiculously not it, just hypothetically. If we're paying $5, a month, or $5 a year for our website, and, the initial setup fee would be $15, but it comes down to $2. We have to balance that out, whatever that would be. Would it be worth the money? And I think you make a great point for that. Unfortunately, I don't have those numbers right off the top of my head, but is this something that we want to kind of finalize next time in the same way where if we can get those numbers from, say, Holly, and be prepared to have that? Or what should we ask for in preparation of our next meeting to determine that? I think one thing we could do just on that, and I don't want to go too far, because I know you're going to say something too, Gene, but
I was about to forget. I'm just.
go for it now.
Well-
I'll write mine down.
The thing is, we just did a survey of township residents.
Right.
And there seemed to be a lot of satisfaction. So, what's offered and whatever. So do we want to mess with that?
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Maybe we should have a pros and cons section too. Because that would be a point that would be under pro for keeping the website, you know what I mean, like just to help the board. Because it could be very confusing looking at these two.
Right.
different
Yeah.
Programs.
And you make a great point, Gene. Our website's great. So, this isn't, and one thing that we all know it's not our decision, as a committee, just to
Right,
recommend.
right.
I think, do we want to recommend what we feel is best? And that's one way we go. Or do we want to recommend, here's one option we could do, here's another option we could do, and go from there. And, then we could say, personally, we feel that we would, like maybe Jess would prefer this one, Terry this one, and that we could say just a quick survey as well. But I think that's what we should establish, which way we're going. In order to do that, back to what John was saying as well, I think it's important to reach out to have the numbers that we could do a fair comparison. So I think the pricing of our website, not just the pricing of our website, but really what is included. What are we? I don't know all the benefits that we have from our website as we need
Right,
our
right.
testing capabilities. There are things that we're learning as well. So we would have to know the pricing of our website and its capabilities. Any other things we want to add to that?
Would we want to compare like how many hours a week? And what the support
Sure.
here is?
No, I support is good. Support, I didn't mention support. And I think these are things that Holly would probably be glad to fill in as well now.
Yeah.
And because she does work on that. That's another thing where we've had to talk about, how much time would that implement as well. For me, I was surprised to hear, well, I wasn't surprised. I think we mentioned Civic Plus first. I was like, oh, that's why I remember it being initially expensive, but I was curious to hear how it worked.
Yeah.
It sounds like they are satisfied, but again, once you have that initial price out of the way, sure, it is satisfying, but that is a big price. And we would have to look at the ease of township staff to operate the website. I'm not sure whether we send out and say, this is what we'd like to update. I do believe that Holly does a lot of it. I know Holly does do a great job with that too, so.
I think there's a lot to be said for the idea, don't mess with the success. What
Exactly.
we've already got is working. why transition to something else that may be harder to use?
Exactly.
Like not as well liked.
And especially, these are options now where the one thing, this is what Joe and I were talking about, our manager again earlier today, is, this is something that we, the one plus I see is kind of like the residential portal. We got a great deal of that because it is kind of newer, it's not so much, whereas after talking to different townships, it seems that some townships would throw good money out, to have a program that we have there that, because it is still innovative. There's not as many people using this technology. That said, maybe it might be a better idea to start with something smaller for texting, seeing as we didn't get a whole lot of results too. I share those sentiments and those things as well.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying, do we want to give our recommendation of where to go, or do we want to give two different ideas of we could do this or that? But I'm with you. I think from what I'm seeing, this might be and it depends if the money's there and if we're saving a lot of money, that could change things as well.
I
Do we,
think. Sorry,
Go ahead, John.
that's okay. I think there's a little delay, so I end up stepping on you folks. But do we go back, as Gene said, to the survey results and also what we listed as the objectives of this effort, right? And the objectives that we had listed last meeting were very much text alert oriented, not website oriented, right? And if we're driving this ultimately from the resident input via the survey, then I agree with Gene. It was what we saw there was the ask for text alerts, not the ask for a change in website.
I think that's a great point. And I think then, and Terry and Jess, I'll ask you as well, do we want to then say we researched different things, we found that this might be the best option for the township if we want to implement texting services? Because again, our website's doing a great job at times.
Yep.
I do feel that way. I will say, and again, it comes to the board's full consensus, but that is the way I'm leaning as well.
Right.
There would have to be a lot to convince me to put that much money into
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that would just confuse. It
It's
sounds like it
good
would be
service.
great.
Why change?
Exactly, but the big question is, are we ready for something like this? Whole text thing is new, and it might be the big thing that I think that really changed my mind with the text mic up too is I didn't realize that it could be used simply as a texting service. So let's say we get it and we might not like the keyword interactive response there, not the AI. It might not be something that we want to use, but again, I think now, just speaking out loud,
Yeah,
does a group agree that maybe we should say, let's stick with the text my gov? Notify me sounds like a great thing, a great avenue, but even Jared said he wasn't sure if you could buy that individually, if you could, excuse me, cop into that individually. And is that something we really want to dig into right now?
I think it's worth showing what research we did,
I
but
think so too.
because then
but
it's
yes.
there for later, they run into an issue with the website, or something like that, but.
I'm in agreement. I think we can say we looked into two different things and we found this one would require revamping our entire website, a lot of how we run things. And we feel that it would be a better avenue to, if we want to explore texting, this seems like something that is an affordable package. Everybody we've talked to has been positive.
Even the text might go.
The text might go, yes. So I think from just talking, and John will ask your opinion too, I think that that's the best route to go, or that's the direction we seem to be going is, let's say we have both of these. Looking at it, we'll go into this one more if you want us to,
Yeah,
but we
I
think that
much
this
recommend adding this rather than we'll try to change this,
Yes.
or try this and then incorporate this.
100%.
And I think Gene's point when we presented to the board that this is what the people, when they were doing the survey, basically said, we got a lot of comments, how they liked the website, they
Yes.
liked what we're doing now already, it's good communication, so that's why I mess with that, yeah. But it's good to add on to.
Right. John, I see you're unmuted.
I completely agree. I like everything that was said. And if they really want us to look at something else, they can always, direct that. But I agree.
Perfect. So I think we all decide, I don't think we need to take a vote. I think we're all in agreement that the best
Consensus.
option, yes.
Yep.
So the best options is when we present this to the board, we will say that we looked into both. We like the idea of notifying me. However, we found that is a lot more to it than that. One thing to note too, that I actually didn't realize once I started looking more into Civic Plus, I'm not saying we're going this avenue, but it was fascinating. Ready Monco uses the same kind of structure there, the click. So Montgomery County does use it. It's the same idea where you can click, I want notifications of Lower Southford. As Joe explained it, when they send out, you know, emergency kind of alert, then that will go right from there. So, but yeah, I think we'll say while we'd like to notify me, we don't feel it's worth changing our entire website
Exactly.
based upon our surveys.
Exactly,
And,
there'd be a duplication of effort.
Exactly. What we're trying to do is address the needs that we see. And what we see is that there is some interest in texting, which of course as well. Our recommendation would be if we're going to look into texting to consider text my gov. And that's perfect. Should we put up any kind of key things about Notify Me as well? I think maybe we can just give the research we have and just summarize it that it's a part of a Civic Plus. John, I see you're unmuted. This is a good way to tell. Do you have a comment?
Instant contact, but finish your comments about Notify Me.
Yeah, I think, I guess I was just saying, do we want to still break down Notify Me? Or do we want to just say, we looked into Notify Me, we found that it's part of a bigger website overhaul, so we can get more into that if you'd like, but just kind of leave it at that? Or do we want to break down Notify Me as well? Because we did get the answers to the questions too. Or we can just, as I speak, we can give them the report and say, here's what we found about Notify Me, but please know it's part of a bigger picture.
Yeah, I would stick to the essentials of why we would reject Notify Me as
Yeah.
opposed to laying out all that we
Yeah.
found, just say, here's why we would not recommend it, because there's, you know,
Yes,
duplication of already existing service, that kind of thing.
I agree with that. And I think it would just be not a waste of our time, but it's just extra time that we don't need to worry
Right.
about. Okay. So I think the next step then would be to put
So
all this down and.
is constant contact part of this conversation as the status quo? You know, is in this conversation with the Board of Supervisor, is it, you know, here's the texting package that we think is a good step up. Right? Here's one that we looked at, which we don't think is right for us right now. Right? Constant contact is the status quo, right? I mean, is it, you know, so they, I mean, from a board decision, is one of their decision points to just keep doing what they're doing now, which is constant contact. And do we have to explain where constant contact doesn't fill the resident requests that what we heard from the survey?
It's a good question, John. One thought that I have to that is we did share the results with the board, and I know we've talked about it, I think at some of our meetings too, how when I, give an announcement of what we're doing with communications committee, how we're looking into texting services. And I did prior to our, maybe last meeting or two meetings, kind of ask them nonchalantly, hey, what do you think of the texting service? As I said, conversation, we're looking into this. And I think the consensus is, yeah, it's a good idea. I can't speak for all the board, but I'm pretty sure that the board has, if they see the survey and have seen the survey, see that that's just another, I don't see it as we're replacing constant contact. I think it's just another means of, another way to reach people. And the survey indicates that there is a need that, or a want that people would want another option. I think that's really that's the avenue I was going to present it as we have constant contact. We have a great website. Here's another option we could add for this fee because residents are requesting that they'd like to see this opportunity as well. Hopefully that answers what you were saying.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, essentially, we're saying that, right, if they choose not to go with the recommended text my gov, that, what they're left with is the website and constant contact. Right.
Correct. And all this does is just add an added feature. And again, it's something that, do we need it? No. Would it be, do we need it maybe because the survey is saying something? Well, now maybe we do need it, or maybe this is something we have. We have what we have. This is just more like the way I see it is this is more, hey, we have another option, it's an extra bulletin board. It's an extra way to get information out there.
Yeah.
And my hope, and I think this group's hope that we talked in the beginning is, and please, chime in as well. My hope is that maybe somebody who might not have been privy to the website and might not have seen how great of a website or what we have, might hear from a neighbor or might see, oh, texting, well, let me just sign up for that. And that will bring them to the website. That'll alert them more and make them more conscious of the township and all it has to offer. That's my
Yeah.
thought on that. And again, I'm not going to speak for the board, but I think if we present something with great feedback, it just offers a great consideration.
But we have identified, you said your first question was, do we need it? And you said no. And I would disagree with that. I think we've identified through the survey at least some level of need for text alerts, text messaging.
Yes, and that's why I did say, based upon the survey, it shows, oh, wait a minute, maybe we do need, but yes, that's what I was saying with that. Like, we have constant contact, we're good, we got everything, we don't, we're surviving is what I meant, but then we see the survey and, oh, wait a minute, we might have more needs, but you're right, I do disagree with that too. Not that we don't need it, but do we need it? No, and now we have a survey says, oh, wait a minute, maybe we do need this, maybe there's another means of it. And the other thing too, that we've talked about at length, that I hope, not going off on tangent here too badly, but one thing with the survey, we might not be reaching, our survey for people who already know our website. So maybe text message might bring new people out there, and then we do another survey in a year, we might see there's needs for other things as well. And again, once there's needs, then they are necessary. It's what, we all know is what we're doing, what works best, what residents want. So
Yeah. I think that people associate the texting with immediacy also.
Yeah. I think so.
Email and website scanning, whatever it is, or pedestrian. So I think that's another positive of having a texting thing.
I think so. And I'll encourage everybody to try it too. I mean, I don't think it's hurting another township. I tried it on a few of them. I don't know if while looking at it, I texted, okay, hi, hello, welcome to X County, what would you like to do? And just to try it out and see various things, because again, I found the technology fascinating too. Like, oh, look at that, 2 tries, they got exactly what I needed there. So yeah, I think this is great. I think we did a great job laying this out here. I'm pleased with all the work that we've put into this tonight, and thank you everybody for that. Any other thoughts to add to this? So again, the next step that we'll do, I'm going to break this down as well, and I'm going to present, I'd like to present this by our next meeting, have it out there. I can put it on our work schedule agenda, a work session agenda. And then hopefully, if the board does decide to move forward, I'm sure the township could contact a representative, which would, bring it to their attention. What I would like to do is break this down, write down everything that we have here legibly, and send it to everybody here and to get any kind of final thoughts. Our next meeting would be the first Tuesday, or the Tuesday before the first Wednesday of the month. So yes, I can check on the calendar. It's not, oh, here we go. There's a calendar right there. So it'll be it doesn't have June.
Tuesday before the first.
Be 6, I think, based on the calendar.
Yeah.
That's the May calendar, but yes, June 6th would be the Tuesday before that Wednesday. So if it happens to be the first, it's the last Tuesday of the month. That's why I can't say that. But I'll present it then and get it to everybody, as soon as possible. We can make sure we can have any thoughts or any feedback on it. And then I say we bring it to the board by that Tuesday of our.
Yeah, be good. Yeah, great.
Any other thoughts on that, or any other extra things that we want to add or questions to make sure we're on the same page here? That's a lot that we covered there, and thank you all for that. I appreciate that. Okay, so again, go ahead, John.
Can you folks send me pictures of your working documents? It looked like you were working off of working documents there.
Yes, we printed up a copy. I'll send them to you tonight. I have
Okay.
them right on.
Okay,
Open at
great,
home right.
great, thank you.
I printed them. So
I got it all on your computer.
yeah, I just forwarded it right
Jackie
to you. Absolutely.
Got it.
And I'll just put them in a little dot and send them out there as well. So absolutely. I'm gonna fix mine too. I realized I was typing as I was talking. I noticed my errors. I looked, I'm like, oh yeah. I was like, I fixed the one, but I didn't fix the other. I printed my quick notes, not the actual one. So I'll make that a little more appropriate. Okay, so again, that, I think we covered that, which was great. We went a completely different route than I expected in the beginning when we talked about it last month, and I think that's the important thing, why we do this, to save the time, and we can just bring the facts. So very good on that. Okay, our next thing that we had on here, I think the text alert, help desk services review townships to be contacted. Very good. Confirm approach to contacting other townships. And I think that was all covered right there, yes, with text
Yeah.
alerts, which brings us. I think what our next new business should be, again, we just kind of laid out where we are. We're gonna have our letters go out to the businesses. Hopefully, if we get that done this week, which is the intent, I want to get it done as soon as possible so that we can talk about it at our next meeting. But as of now, I think that's our first new business. It's just kind of review the results of going to the board. I'll put these down. I think our new business would be to review the results, or just go over the board's consensus, I guess. We'll talk about what the board had to say in regards to Text My Gov. So the first new business is bringing Text My Gov to the Board of Supervisors. And then our other new business, and that's just what we're going to do for next time as well. And another one will be hopefully to follow up on the contacted business introduction letter. Do that at our next meeting as well. Any other new business we want to present? As we said a few times, Jess, in the beginning, we had all these great ideas. And I think by the second or third meeting, we realized we should do one at a time.
Yeah. Hard way to do it.
We're getting there. All right, with that, again, I want to thank everybody for coming here, all your input here. It's great stuff. I'm really excited that, we went from an idea from a survey to here's something that we can do, and I'm excited to see where this
I think
goes.
we've got some pretty tangible information.
I think so. I think
Yeah, provide them.
I'm very pleased with it, and I hope the board will be pleased as well, and obviously our residents too. So
Absolutely.
any other comments or anything to add to our meeting tonight?
Not on the good part.
All right, everybody. Again, thank you very much. Our next meeting will be, let's officially do this here, third Wednesday of the month, just to stay with my calendar. And that will be June already. June 21st is our next third Wednesday of the month. So we will be here at 7:30 and on Zoom. And do we have a motion to adjourn? Terry, seconded.
Second.
Dean, thank you. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Okay.
Any nays? Okay, very good. Thank you very much, John. Have a great night.
Thank you, John.
John.
See you soon as well.